We just left our second night, and that was at Wayah Bald shelter, and that was about 9/10 of a mile below Wayah Bald. I forgot to take any video at that shelter, but it's a pretty nice little shelter. It's a 8-person shelter with a privy very close. The water's a little bit of a hike across the other side of the trail, so just want to make sure and camel up if you're going to stay there. So came a hard rain last night, but again we dodged the rain bullet. We got to the shelter and about 45 minutes later it rained for an hour and a half, so we are miraculously dry. We had about 9 people in the shelter for a while until the rain stopped, and then folks kind of scattered out, and there was about 5 of us at the shelter last night. So we're leaving Wayah Bald shelter, headed for Wesser Bald, and that'll be about 10 miles for the day, and that'll be it for us for today. On day 3, this is our first little view back to the, I guess back to the southeast a little bit. That should be Wayah Bald, and that down that side lead there is probably the way we came, and then around here to the right. So making very good time this morning. There's only been one about 0.6 or so uphill, and then we'll head on toward Wesser Bald here in a few minutes. So a good little view this morning, cloudy, muggy, but breezy. Well, we just came out in Burning Town Gap. That's looking back to the south. That's the road that comes up to the gap. And there is the famous apple tree by the famous Peggy. And the trail goes on up that way. And the apples are pretty green, so we're not going to partake of them. But I hear people talk about camping here, but I agree with what one person said. I don't think I would camp here because this road is open and most everybody's nice, but you just never know when you camp somewhere where people are, where people might be, or where somebody can drive up on you in the middle of the night. But anyway, we're at Burning Town Gap between Wayah Bald and Wesser Bald. We're still in day 3. We have just come past the Cold Spring shelter between Wayah Bald and Wesser Bald, and this is one of the vantage points. I think that's one of the airports down toward Franklin back in there, so where we've come from would be back around that way. And then this up here, that would have to be the Smokies in the distance, in the far distance. I told Peggy one of those could be Kleeman's Dome, but I don't know that for sure. So Wesser Bald, where we're going, is back in here, and this is back down in toward more of Macon County, Franklin area. So had a good hike. It's a pretty good pull up here, but it's all downhill for about 3 miles now to Tellico Gap, and then back up to Wesser Bald. Well, we're coming in Tellico Gap, which is the last little gap before we go up to Wesser Bald, and that's about 1.5 miles uphill. This has been about 1.5 miles downhill, so which can be a little bit about as hard on the feet and legs as going uphill. But we've had a good day. We've been about 8.5 miles so far, and just right over Peggy's right shoulder you can see the road. There's a power line and road comes through Tellico Gap. I'd say that's the way a lot of people access Wesser Bald. Here we are in Tellico Gap. It's got a road that comes through it and a power line, and we're getting ready to make the ascent up that Wesser Bald up to the tower. I'm going to eat us a sandwich before we leave here if we can find some shade. It's a little sunny in this gap, but there is parking here for looks like 7-8 vehicles, maybe more. There's some parking here and then some on the other side as well. But good views from here. Here's the AT sign. Okay, here we are on top of Wesser Bald, looking back toward Tellico Gap, and back over in that way is Wayah Bald, and then back here is a thunderstorm that we're going to have to try to outrun, and back around this way, back down toward Fontana, and then up this way toward NOC and Nantahala Lake, and probably in the far distance there is probably going to be Clingman's Dome. That's what I think. It's going to have to be in that direction. And then this is back, I don't know what that, there's a tower right there, but I don't know what that is. Anyway, just a beautiful view from the top of Wesser Bald and the Wesser community just outside of Nantahala, North Carolina.